That's recording now.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the head tube's got little marks where the tube should sit.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
The fixture's all been set. I'll just put the chainstays in because all these have been mitered.
Yeah.
And the dropout's been set so they're stress-free.
Yeah.
Everything's set up. It's all been done, so I'm ready to braze.
Mm-hmm.
Do the clean up and fit up process tomorrow. So I'm doing this without lugs so you can see the tube. So,
Yeah.
Oh, I've done this the wrong way around because I'm talking.
Yeah, because you're talking and I'm distracting
I
you.
was thinking, so head tube should go in.
Yeah.
Undo that. And that just locks it up. This is a Macchetti jig from Italy.
Right.
I like plate jigs because there's a standoff and you can
Mhm.
measure any point off there. That's your accurate datum.
Yeah.
So, that's all set up. I'll just do these finger tight.
Mm-hmm.
This is a randonneur frame, so you can see there's eyelets on here
Yeah.
for rear rack and mudguard fittings.
Yeah.
Honjo fenders, not some cheap ones, some nice
Mhm.
ones, aluminium lightweight ones. I'll put down tube in.
Yeah.
Notice I sculpt this a little bit,
Right.
so the seat tube sits on that scallop.
Yeah.
Factories don't do that. It's another little step you don't want to do. Lock that up. Lock that up. So when I do the brazing and tacking process, I actually release this so there's expansion movement
Yeah.
allowed for
Yeah.
for fit
Yeah.
up.
So where it's too tight.
Have a look
locked
at
in.
that.
Yeah.
That's in place there.
Yeah.
On the mark there. See that tightness around there?
Yeah.
I've broken the edge so it's not a razor edge so the brass will flow properly and you don't that, but
Yeah.
but it's up against. There's no rattle.
Right.
Now you want to see some of your fancy frames you get from overseas, you pull them apart when you're repairing them and
Yeah.
you're flat out getting a hacksaw cut for the miter.
Right.
That's just lock up there.
Yeah.
Seat tube here.
Yeah.
I'll put the seat lug on.
Yeah.
Now I have a locating pin
Mm-hmm.
on my seat lug here.
Right.
It's a 2mm mild steel nail,
Mm-hmm.
which gets cut off in the brazing process.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
top tube. This has got an internal,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a stainless steel plate over the stainless steel inserts.
Yeah.
The cable casing terminates inside the stainless steel fitting inside at each end. There's a brass tube between the two, so it's sealed,
Yeah.
but it's stainless steel at the entry and exit points, so there's no corrosion problems. And the cable casing terminates, so it won't ever shift when you squeeze the
Yeah.
brakes on and off. You don't get a slipping cable.
Nothing. Yeah.
Especially with single pivot brakes on the Campag rear.
Mm.
And then there's a stainless steel plate shaped. I make that out of Columbus stainless tubing from Columbus.
Yeah.
And that is very closely mitered. You can see the little braze line there. That gets polished to a shiny finish, and that's spreads the stress over the tube, so you don't get a because there's a lot of torsion up here.
Yep.
I've seen frames fracture there, and I don't want one of mine ever to fracture in 20, 30 years' time.
Yeah. So they're built for the long haul.
Yeah, and even the
Yeah.
alignment of this is done correctly
Mm.
for nice curvatures of the cable casing. So we'll just plonk that on there,
Yeah.
and you can see the fit of the head tube.
Yeah.
Tight. That's sitting on its location point there, which is already set up. And there'll be a little marks there where it sits.
Yeah.
And I've also already done a fit up with lugs in place, which I can do again if you want to. So there's no stress on the lugs.
Right.
Because if there's a stress as you braze, it'll distort.
Right.
It'll move.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you spend a lot of time on the fit up. So that's all done. These braze-ons are already pre-done, so there's no distortion and contraction. And
So,
you braze that on, and your seat tube will bow a little bit, and they'll upset your alignments. So it's all stress
So
relieved.
it's all done
as much
on
as
each
possible.
tube. Yeah, as much.
And I'll put the seat stays on.
Yeah.
These seat stays is a story to them. They're actually. I was inspired by Brian McLean's Ron Cooper frame,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
which I helped, restore here, and it had the semi wraparound on
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
and I liked it. I used to do a different system, and it's light and sort of stylish. I like the triangulated rear. It has function
Yeah.
as well, and I like the shape of it. It's tricky to do nicely. Ron Cooper copied, I've found out since, they used to call it the Bianchi style because the Italian Bianchi bikes used to be done this way.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's called Bianchi style in England 50, 60 years ago. But I learnt it from being inspired by Ron's Cooper frame.
Yeah.
And these points, when I clean up, they get pushed down.
Right.
And you can see on the other frames in the other part of the workshop what they look like.
Yeah.
But that's not cleaned. So that's been hand mitered, and you can have a look on either side and the back how tight that miter is. And after I braze the main triangle up, I do some cleaning, and then I fit the stays on.
Yeah.
So the main triangle's brazed first.
Yeah.
File there, and then I fit the stays up.
So totally wrong, Cooper inspired. So it really goes back to the Italians early in the day.
The point where I put this is worked out, so I get a proper curve to there. You see some of these factories, like things like Savello's, and they got this happening.
Yeah.
I mean, that's brainless.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Some people face kid must design them.
Yeah.
They're going about technology and the basic things, and the experienced bailiff says, gee, the moron's got that wrong. Or on little frames, they have it too far up here, and you've got this happening. So it's a really sharp kink like that. But no.
You need a nice flow on that.
So you get a nice flow to the casing, and on the front, because I'm European style, I prefer the front brake on the left hand, so you can change gears and still be braking coming into a corner. I mean, I'll change it to what the customer requires, but that then has a nice gradual loop up to the handlebar. I've seen ones who've had it around, where they have this one upside down, and they have this one on top, so it's doing this.
No, it's a joke. No, you've got to have it. And then
like
the cable can work properly.
So that's why, and it's just neat, and it doesn't rattle or rub.
No.
Like that.
Well, you want your brake to actually work too, so you don't want to compromise the...
Yeah, you don't want the binding.
No,
you want it to be sexy
need to have
smooth.
a nice curve so everything works smoothly and properly.
Sexy smooth.
How it was
now, I
designed.
won't do internal gear wise because you get this happening. And what happens is not so much the friction. People think it's the friction. It's not. It's this.
Yeah.
You get a certain amount of elasticity happening with bends.
Yeah.
Where when they get tighter, they pull straight like that, and you lose your positiveness of your gear change.
Yeah.
Now, Shimano and Campagnola have said that for years. You don't do that.
No. So
Graceful curve, straight line to a runner, straight line.
So you run it all external.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will not do internal gear wise.
So that goes back to the whole thing about making sure you get all the mechanical aspects working properly first before you look at aesthetics. So aesthetics are important, but it takes a second.
I put on little reinforcement diamonds here.
Yeah.
Right, that's a fiddly thing to do.
Yeah.
Factory will never do that because it's fiddly to do. You've got to shape them, clean them, put them on, and braze them nice and straight.
Yeah.
But the reason I do that is you ever have a bit of a fall and you bump. I've seen frames where these have been torn out and ruined the tube. You can actually bump that, and you see the old mechanics used to bend the cages to get the bottles tight.
Yeah, totally.
Well, you won't ruin the frame.
No.
You won't.
Okay. Yeah.
Some heat-treated tubes. I've seen some heat-treated tubes, the really high-tensile ones. Heat-treating tubes are awful. I've seen them fracture there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Should never happen. So you do that, do all the little things, even the braze on first, and you eliminate all the hassles.
Yeah. Okay.
This one's got a third water bottle because it's a randonneur, and you can actually put a third water bottle down there
Pop it down
for long rides.
Yeah. So I'll go back to my question on geometry. So you're going to set the seat tube to suit the rider,
locate the saddle
locate
correctly.
the saddle. Yeah.
See that red line?
Yeah.
Well, that's the centre line of the bottom bracket.
Right.
So your nose of the seat will be
Yeah.
maybe, well, on this drawing,
Yeah.
it's a Brooks saddle, and I put it at 70 millimetres at 746 saddle height.
Yeah.
So the saddle will be 70 millimetres behind that line.
Yeah.
The seat tube angle on that to achieve that was 72.5 degrees.
Yeah.
And then the handlebars here. Now, being a randonneur, it has a shorter stem and a longer front wheelbase for mudguard clearance, and also a totally different front end geometry because it's got a handlebar bag on there. You've got a weight.
Yeah.
If you use a road bike racing geometry on there, you'll get wheel flop with the weight on the front, pivoting on the front of the bars. So you have a longer top tube, and a lot more fork rate, and you reduce the trail for stability. Not the other way, you reduce it. Because otherwise you get this horrible wheel flop. These bikes you can ride, like touring bikes, fully loaded, no hands. But when you ride them at first, it's hard, because when you ride no hands, you use a racing bike, you just shift your body weight a little bit like that, and it'll go left and right. But a touring bike, because it's got a slower steering, and you reduce the trail to do that. To get the stability. People think it's just trail, but it's a lot of other things. So this will have a shorter stem, and that's where the head tube will be to achieve that. I think it was 100 stems, so the centre of the stem's about here. It's all done on the drawing. And there's tools you fit this up to locate these fixed points in space. And the prosciutto fork, well, it's loaded. To give you an example, I'll bring it up to where it sits. This is a touring bike. It's about a 10 millimeters lower bottom bracket than a normal bike. Adds stability and just ease of reaching the ground when you got when you're sitting on the saddle. The little girl's bike, I lower the bikes as well, because they're usually on 165 cranks. Modern pedals are thinner. You get more clearance than back in the old days of caged Campeg pedals and things. So you can lower the bottom bracket, and for small people it's great because they can reach the ground on that little bit easier. I wouldn't think so, but 5 to 10 mils, it helps. So this has got 60 mils of fork rate, actually 62. And 80 bottom rack and strap for a randonneur. It's not a road frame, it's not a track frame. And that then locates that position of there. Seat tube angle is what it is.
Seat tube angle,
This point at the top of the head tube and the amount of spacer determines the size of the head tube. The top tube just went from here to here. And what did it end up being? That one's 570 millimetres.
570. So is there anything else that affects geometry? We've got that angle there.
That length.
That length there.
This is longish for comfort. The reason you get more comfort is if your wheel's out further here, you get less pitching effect. If you have the wheel in tight, you're sitting on top of the wheel, the force is the vertical. And if it's out longer, you actually the pitching effect is reduced. It's like sitting over the back axle of a bus. A hell of a lot rougher than in the middle of the bus.
In the middle, you don't want to be sitting right on top of that back
wheel. And the further you sit further out from the back wheels, the more pitching you have. Movement. It's the same with the boat. So it happens on a bike as well, to a certain degree. So if it's minor, but it's all about sweetening the ride.
So if you get that set right, the bike's going to feel like it handles more because it's not jumping all over the road on you.
Especially when you're pedaling hard through a fast, rough corner. On the track, it's different. Track racing's different. You want totally...
You've got a smooth surface continuously.
You want to... some tracks can be rough in the old outdoor tracks.
The old
sometimes.
ones, these days.
But we're not on cinder or dirt or grass
not
tracks.
Anymore.
I think even when you're making a modern road fixie, they build them really tight like a track bike. Wrong. You know when you're pedaling the fixie hard and you hit the whoop-de-doo bump and the back wants to come around and meet the front? Put the back end out, and you'll see it on the one I've got, that nice one inside there, all the gyros. Put the back end out like a road bike at 410, 420 millimetres, and you have a much more comfortable fixie. Because remember, your fixie, you feel everything coming through the seat. Because you don't get off the seat as much and you can't stretch. And also the bumpiness, when you're pedalling fast, you lose that stability when she's like... Lengthen the back end attack. So ignore the perception of the bullshit, the marketing of shorter chainsaws will make me go up the hill faster.
Rightio. That just goes within, we'll make it a super
the wattage from the pedal there, the twist in the hub is not affected by the length of the chainstay. Handling on mountain bikes, different thing. Right? I won't argue with that, or cyclocross bikes, yes.